Mike's not on. Testing.
It was making some sort of
Testing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's 4 o'clock and I regret having my back to you. We have a quorum here, and Director Mendiaz is on the other line, Zoom. Can we stand up for a moment of silence in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, the capital budget meeting slash workshop is we're trying to figure out how we're gonna separate how we're gonna separate the monies that have specific monies for capital improvements on the port. Correct me if I'm wrong. For example, if we have $400 in the bank, all in one pile, we want to put 150 separate so that $150 are used for special projects. Correct, more or less.
Actually, we already are required by our declaration to put this in separate bank accounts. We're just going to make a budget on how to spend the money that we already are separating based
Correct,
on.
but it's separated right now.
Yeah, well,
We haven't separated.
once the billion things are calculated, we'll make transfers for the last few months. But other than that, it's always been separate.
So we have a pile of money, we have so much money that we're gonna separate it for restricted spending. Thank you.
Can we put Aaron up there so we could see him? Adam? Or no? If you can't, that's okay.
be able to.
Can we hear him?
That's fine. All right,
There he
that's
is.
fine.
Well, I don't know if there's some sort of bar.
Do y'all have the budget up?
Yeah,
It was.
We did, we put you on there.
And I can also,
Right.
what you have the budget you sent up, I can also post that. So it'll be in the Zoom so you can see both.
Yeah, do that. That way we can have you on the screen and we can see the budget also.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah, we could just.
There you go.
thank you.
Yeah, that's what we were wanting, right? Is that
Yeah.
his share screen?
Yes,
screen share?
perfect, that's
Okay.
perfect. Except I can't see,
So
so
small.
That is,
for me, I can't
I
see.
can't see
I
either.
have to sit over here.
Well, you can select the window that is presented. So the participants are on the side and you just double click on the shared screen and it should occupy the majority of it.
Sure, you get the senior discounts too.
Hmm? There.
Senior discount.
Did he just say what I think he said?
You said it.
I mean, is this view fine or what do we need?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, can you see it now?
Are we asking for anything?
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
We wanted to see
Yeah,
if
I'm
we could
sharing
put the.
my screen with y'all,
on the
so I
side.
can
So
definitely see my
so the
screen.
spreadsheet.
I don't really.
It's good, it's fine.
To be honest,
Oh,
wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah, we're good.
maybe
Right.
we can zoom in a little or something.
So I believe I know that this was to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that looks great. I can see it okay. considering I'm a senior citizen, so I have troubles with my eyesight, I guess. Um, so what I put together is, what I feel, for a first draft, for the capital budget is one, things that I know that will come up in our maintenance, that we will need to do repairs on. The top, this top area right here, I got the amounts from Jason's graph that Jason had made when we increased the assessments. And so what I did is I took that, I added what the balance was, which was I believe it was 144,000 at the time when I made the budget, in the restricted already. And so I added the additional amounts that we would collect from the amount of the people that are paying assessments. And that's how I got the top, which would come out to $223,164. Now, I don't have, and this is why it's workshop. We need to, oh, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me better? I'm sorry. I forgot about talking on this. Would you like me to repeat?
Now go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, basically, if we get all our assessments every month, we should collect 223, we should have 223,164 at the end of the year. And what you can see is I proposed, I have repairs for ACs because I know that the administrative building is gonna need one. I know that Dickman might need a couple. That I know for sure. I just put in building repairs because we have so many historical buildings. I'm not sure what we need to budget. Unless,
Only interior.
only
Interior.
only, right. And of course, we're gonna have to walk through each one. To me, opinion only, I think the only way that we would be able to do this correctly is having a research study of somebody who's gonna go in there and walk each building and go from 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year. I could be wrong. I know, Aaron, that you sent a really nice spreadsheet of multiple historical items that we have on the fort. But here's what I know from the 19 months that I've been here. We need to do fence repairs. We need batteries for the golf carts. There's heavy equipment that we've talked about that right at this moment we don't have because it's broken down. And then we know for sure that we have to get flags. We go through a lot of flags and they are very, very expensive. We just bought more flags recently. Street repairs. It's gonna take $3 million to do the streets. But I know that we don't have that, so I budgeted $6,000 for 2025, 2026 to be able to do potholes, the areas that are the worst. I also, we would like to get probably another used, pickup. And so I put that in the budget. And I did write at the end of this what they were for. Now, we do small window repairs. I know that preservation has a budget for big window repairs, but I don't know if that's for small window repairs.
It's for the exterior and any part of the interior that impacts with the exterior, so it's.
Okay.
It's kind of the same.
Gotcha. Okay. So I used what I knew our amount was for the year. That would leave 113,000 would be left over for whatever historical repairs that we need to make, which I don't know. It's gonna come up. But until it comes up, when we decide what the most important thing to do with that money is something that will have to be voted on by the board and decided by the board. So this is a very, very rough draft. It's a start. So Aaron, do you wanna chime in at all on this?
Yeah, Ken, I just want you to, Mayor, you're saying you're done presenting this portion?
Yes.
Okay, so some of this stuff, albeit although it is a regular cost, is not a capital repair. But the main obvious one is the signage and flags. Those are not capital assets. So maybe a regular cost, an operational cost to keep the flags, but it's not a long-term asset like a building or a bulldozer. So that doesn't belong on the list.
Right?
I can start. Where to start from? So the AC replacement. I mean, as the reserve study mentioned, although it's true, that doesn't mean we can't start a list, which is why I did uh, make a spreadsheet just based off the historic district buildings as a list. I didn't actually put any work into the spreadsheet. It's just here's all the buildings. So when you have a list of all the buildings, you can then assign to each building, you know, the this is replacing, you know, 3 AC units at Dickman, or this is replacing 2 AC units at the main building. And you start that's what needs to happen with the expenses, because you get an idea what is new, what isn't, where it's needed, and which buildings need more, and you also can start to prioritize things.
Mhm.
So similarly, building repairs. I mean, 7,000. If we have 42 structures and we're spending 7,000 a year, that's 600 per building per year, and like that's not a maintenance program for a building. Um, so there's going to be a lot more cost here once the buildings start getting put together. So similarly, like batteries on golf carts. I don't. I mean, I have to look into whether really a golf cart is really an asset or not, and that's a something whatever to be discussed. Fence repairs. I mean, fence repair. I mean, again, that's debatable, but you know, the heavy equipment that that would be a bulldozer, but like our other vehicles would also need to be on the list, so we know what state they're in, whether we need a new transmission, or we had a transmission replaced last year on this vehicle, that vehicle, whatever. Um, so it's, I mean, it needs to break the budget in the end might look as long as our operational budget, but it would then help us track and understand the state of our buildings and our capital equipment. Similarly, pothole repair at a certain level, if we're spending 6,000 a year on filling potholes with caliche, like is that money well spent, or is it better to, you know, focus 6,000 on one spot and do a more substantial repair that lasts longer? Because you know, or you know, do we end up even like looking at a bond like what was done way back when the roads were paved the previous time? You know, that's what should come, you know, out of this. And then back to the windows again. If you know, if we know per building what it's costing, and we know a building that is extra subject to hail damage because of its orientation and lack of, you know, cover, then we find out that that building costs, you know, 400 a year always until we do something. It'll help us identify what that could be. I could share this other spreadsheet, but it's just a list of the the building type, its current use. You know, if you know, say the barracks are currently the motel, for instance, the year built, it would ideally have information like when was the roof last replaced, so we have an idea like on a roof life, and we can start seeing when to expect these expenses. But they're all regular expenses that have always gone on. We've always replaced roofs. I mean, on our buildings. So I mean, this has a long way to go. Those are items. And that's enough of, I've got more stuff to talk about, but I'm gonna leave it there for anyone else to chime in.
Well, I'd like to say too, though, we don't have a big budget. So I based my thoughts on the small amount of money that we do have. So I guess being in the workshop, I'm assuming that we're going to put what it's going to cost for everything and then prioritize from there. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's the point. So, yeah, if we listed all of our buildings and everything that needed to happen to them, it certainly is more money than we have. But it's real numbers then to present to get money from other sources. So, I mean, it justifies, a special assessment for the motel, for instance, when we're like, hey, we know it's going to cost this much. That's the whole reason I mean, maybe not the whole reason, but it's a large part of why the language for a special assessment exists in our governing documents is to keep things up. And the reality is, if we let a roof go unrepaired, the damage becomes substantially more than repairing the cost of the repair of the roof. And that applies towards a lot of things. Once you let it go to failure, it costs more. It's very simple. For instance, is I don't see a paint budget on here. I don't know that we ever had a paint budget. But I can tell you, wood lasts a lot longer when it's kept painted. Even if it's every 3 or 4 years it gets painted, that'll help the rot from occurring. There's a number of things like that that are to be considered. But the ultimately, this restricted budget can't hide that the buildings need work on, and that work might exceed the amount of money we have. That is actually uh, kind of a goal to then bring in other money in the form of grants or whatever, because we need it. We don't, as a community, have the amount of money required to sustain 42 historic structures. Because they are any historic structure is a money pit. I can tell you, my clients who live in landmark homes pay a lot to live in those homes all the time. It's borderline masochistic thing to do to oneself, but they enjoy it. So yeah, the budget just says how we're going to use what money we have to address our problems. The problems will exceed what we're able to expend, but it will help us prioritize where the money goes and justify, that again, a roof is more important than, I don't know. I'd say a broken window, but that's important too.
Well, it's in a lot more perspective.
Mhm. To give us the idea is to give us a clear picture of and help us formulate a plan to how we address these things.
I have just one question, because looking at this and what you said, what I think is that quite a few of these items on here is really a maintenance budget and not a capital restricted budget. And since they're on this thing, have we been paying them out of the restricted budget?
No. It has to be voted on.
Right, but you listed them as capital budget.
Yeah,
So
because
we're now doing signage and flags and things. Is it coming out of the operational budget when you pay for them?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just didn't know, since they were on the list, I just wanted to be clarified that we haven't been paying them out restricted.
So you have 50K for a bulldozer. Are we thinking we're gonna buy one this month? Or next month?
It's just booked. It doesn't mean that we're gonna buy it in that month.
Okay.
Any of that money can be moved at any point in time, but it's just booked. I have no idea if we're gonna spend $50,000 on a bulldozer. We could maybe spend $30,000 on one, but I booked it there because that's what I've seen that they cost right at the moment, used,
So
not
this year,
new.
we need the bulldozer this year, is what you're saying.
Maybe.
Yeah, we do. I did, oh, it's on the printer, but I did, put out what we're spending on a monthly basis. What we spent since May to November on labor, diesel, but mostly the roll-offs. It's $40,000 to date from May to November. And not all of that, we would spend it anyway. It's more of we spent about 29,000 in roll-offs because we're not putting it in the landfill right now.
Cool. And the ACs, it says 1,318,000. Where those? You anticipate ACs where?
When we decided to start looking at Dickman, if we were gonna replace two of them, it would be about 9,000 each, which
Memo
would
says we ain't gonna pay a penny out of there.
okay, well, you're asking me, so I'm
You're,
just telling you.
don't conflict what
I
I
know,
said.
but
That was before the
That has nothing to do with-
Smithsonian.
I actually would like to see if some of that could fit in the budget, but maybe it will, maybe it won't.
This was made like way back
Yeah,
before that, so before the Smithsonian.
But which ones were you anticipating in there? It said, I can't read.
It was
says gu-
Dickman.
It says guardhouse, an adult center, and the comments on the side. I can't read all of it.
The adult center, because I know Ulrichs were gonna wanna lease that area. And I know that AC is pretty cannibalized over there.
Oh, it's on Aaron's screen, actually.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. hold it
But
up.
if you have the file open, you could go over to it. Right?
Yes,
Which I want to look at.
just the
Can you
comment
roll the comments
on the
over?
notes on the
Aaron?
right, they're kind of cut off.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, there, and I can see it.
Okay.
Dickman office, admin, okay.
And then I actually, with fence repairs, I didn't put anything in there though. Because really it was more for the front, that people have mentioned to me multiple times that they'd like the front of the whole fort redone with columns. I put it in there, but I don't have a
What
price for
about
that.
where RGC or whoever ripped out like 100 yards of our fence over there by the 131? Is that the
So
right
from
one?
my understanding, because it's their easement,
It's our problem.
yeah, pretty much. They said
Have we thought
Good
about how
barbed wire
much it will
fence.
cost to put that fence back?
I'd have to go measure it. But
But
if
it's barbed wire, I think. Well, it wasn't a regular fence.
yeah,
It was a regular like
What?
wire fence,
Yeah.
but it had 40 years of trees growing in it, and then they're like, we're gonna fix the power lines. They cleared our fence line, but they cleared the fence too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously, I mean, we know that it's gonna be a lot more money. And if we're gonna show a true amount, what we need, this is going to take a lot of time.
I mean,
It's gonna take a group of people to do
oh, I
that.
know. I mean, I really expected this just to be a preliminary discussion. I did not expect like some super well.
No,
I
and
mean, it does take time.
yeah, and in my head, I'm thinking budget. I'm only able to use what we are bringing in.
Yeah.
So it makes it a whole lot easier in my head that if we're gonna make everything very crystal clear by putting really what we need for everything, then we decide what we need to do based on what's most important.
Aaron, when we get through this, could we see what you put together just for reference as what you feel like
Yeah,
needs to be done?
Sure, I can share that. 1 second.
I quite looked at that very deeply today. I would suggest a couple more columns in there. Once you put it.
Oh,
all
yeah,
together, it's
I
awesome.
spent no time on this. I mean, Chat GPT put that together with my input. I was maybe a
I
10 minute.
see, you don't have to brag about that, okay? Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, he did this in how long?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can tell you how I did it. Hold on, I'm trying to share it though.
If not, I have it on my jump drive too. Because that was cool. There were buildings on there that I've not heard of though.
No, yeah, because I'll tell you how that came to be. All right, can you see it? It's probably too small, so I'm gonna zoom
Yeah.
in to one side.
There, yeah.
So, the way this was generated was very simple. I actually started with our operational budget, and then also put our operational spreadsheet and then our restricted spreadsheet. And then I asked chat, and then I also threw in the historic district from our website and said identify what's a capital / restricted budget versus what's not, and use the historic map to generate a spreadsheet. I would actually modify it further. And at a certain point, your inputs like that to ChatGPT don't work the best. But this was just a quick example of like you've got your building,
Yeah.
you've got the type. I would have added another column to like, well, here we go. You've got the building type or group, so how it's used,
Mhm.
and then the description of it. So those, the barracks could be, the motel. You got the year built. I haven't verified any of this. This was all, and ChatGPT makes mistakes. So I would check all this, but then as I was mentioning with like AC, under each, uh, it'd either be a row or a subgroup where you then have how many AC units, when were they last serviced, when's the upcoming expense, when, the roof, when's the last time the roof was done? When's it expected? Like year installed, just like you have year built. You'd have roof installed. You'd have AC maintenance on here. You would have paint. The barracks were painted 3 years ago. Time to paint them again. Or however long we decide that is. But this is I would want to put a lot more work into this. It's just a start of a breakdown of the building, the type, the use, the year it was built, and then here they separated major systems, last work, description and year, next work needed, estimated year of work. So this thing is not just a 1 year budget. It could be a 5 year plan even on buildings, which is appropriate. Estimated costs, reserve target. Then here you see again, funding source, whether it's restricted, grant, or donation. And then it just all auto-populated restricted. Like I said, I haven't modified this at all. And then you've got a priority here, critical, high, or deferred. Um, then you've got notes, preservation considerations, and then the source. So, I mean, there's a website I found that actually had a bunch of information on our buildings that if I had put time into this, I would be populating information from there for this. So this is a basic building version of this, but you could argue that you've got another sheet that is for our, capital assets like the bulldozer, the trucks, etc. So it could be its own sheet. And all that ties into, I mean, this is where it's very much like the operational budget. It's got a lot of parts and pieces, and but it all adds up. We see, okay, we have to triage, which are the important upcoming expenses. If we get a hailstorm, all of a sudden we know that we've got to replace 5 roofs, and we can also set rules on our restricted fund that we must keep, X amount of dollars in because we know it's going to cost, 100,000 for, I don't know, a roof or, several roofs or something like that. So the money in the restricted budget isn't just here's all the money, here's how we can spend it all. It's also like, well, we need to keep a certain amount of money to generate money, and we need to find money from elsewhere. So even you have income here, but just like on the operational budget where we have, I'm looking at the I'm looking at the other budget now, but we have income at just as it comes from the uh, the member fees. But the reality is there's more money that should be allocated to that. So one of the questions I asked in the email was, what is our historic tax credit? Were you able?
25%.
Huh?
25%.
Okay, so which is approximately how much money?
I just started researching from what you gave me, so I've done all the amounts of the buildings that they're taxing us on, and those are the ones for the, only for the plaques. The 6 ones.
Just to abstractly talk about the point, the tax credit, those tax credits, I think are, pun intended, historically misunderstood. Um, they, they're intended to help maintain historic structures. So you get a tax credit, so you can put that money towards the building to repair it. So, say you get a $6,000 tax credit, you should be pumping that 6,000 into the maintenance of the building. They're not, they're not just so you can spend money elsewhere. They're designed to help maintain historic buildings. That's the whole reason they exist. So that's more money that, should appear in the income because it belongs, the historic tax credit belongs to the repair of those historic structures.
I mean, should we put the credit into the restricted fund in the future or something?
I don't think we heard you.
Did you hear me, Aaron?
No,
So should we plan on putting the historic credit in as an addition to the restricted fund in the future, so it can be more readily earmarked for these repairs?
I mean, that would be ideal. But I mean, I would say that's a board decision, not a mandated thing to do. But that would make sense because that's how the money is supposed to be spent. There's nothing that I've read in our governing documents that says we have to do that. However, I don't know tax law, etc., enough to also know if the tax credit isn't being applied towards buildings, if that means anything. That's not at all my world. I just know that the fundamental reason we get it is, and I say we, I mean like any historic structure, it's to help maintain the building. That's the whole point. Um,
Yeah, and we should also create some sub accounts for other purposes like donations and such, so the money's kind of earmarked and traced to where it went and what it was used for. That way we can keep everything above board and use money for what it's intended.
Agreed, but also the question comes, when money is donated, uh, it's donated to the fort, I'm assuming it's taxed as income. So the money donated should go through a 501c to be tax exempt so that every penny of the donation goes into the, wherever it's being donated for. Again, though, I'm not a tax person, but that's my understanding of it.
That's fine also. I would think that any donations needed to go through community council because they hold the 501c3. And then we can send out a letter so that people can claim that off of their income tax as a donation. Otherwise, they pay tax on it and don't get any credit for the donation from the tax that they owe us. So we probably need to make some, let people know that if they send a donation in, it really should probably go through the community council. And we need to probably get with the community council to have them set up a line item to where the fort money that's gonna go in there goes in there, then they can send it to us.
I think Travis has a question.
They cannot send it to you. That is income at that point.
Okay,
Therefore, would then have to,
Do you want
okay, that's good. I didn't know how that
yeah,
worked.
the money has to stay in the entity that it was donated to. So you would have to have a resolution and then there would have to be an understanding between the two because the fort board does not control the the community council board. And so you've got a lot of documentation that would have to happen before that. Now, as far as the donations that are coming in right now, I just wanted to be clear, Aaron, all the money that is coming right now that money, there is dollar per dollar. You're shaking your head now. Mr. Guzman?
I'm not even
Oh,
taking no.
oh.
He's itching
So,
his mouth.
the all of that money that comes in right now, so what was the net operating loss for this past year? I don't know what the number, 200,000 ish, right?
47, I think.
247. Okay. So you have $750,000 net operating loss that carries forward every year, right? That from like what we've been doing. You just added $240,000 to it. So until you spend $1 million, you're not paying income tax on anything like money that comes in. So that concern is $1 million down the road. So we don't need to solve a problem we don't have. So it's not going to be taxed. So every dollar, just to be clear, because I don't want people to walk away with the thought that if I give the Ford $10,000, that not all that money is going to be able to be spent in the way that it's supposed, that it was intended, because the net operating loss is going to cancel any tax obligation that you have for the next $1 million.
Okay, so the people that donated don't have the opportunity to get a tax credit.
They do not, no. But depending on their status, they may not need, that may not be a consideration. That's a separate thing, but like I said, before you start directing funds into a 501c3, there has to be like when we used, like when the grant was put together for the historical society to then work over in the pool area, there had to be memorandums of understanding as to that money would come in, and then it would be used for X, Y, and Z tasks, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of documentation that has to be put together before you start directing money that would come from the association into another entity. And that's just good housekeeping.
So through the Smithsonian, all the money that's coming in there, does that committee have that set up to know where that money's gonna go? Or how is that gonna work? Are we gonna have some resolutions?
I don't think that has anything to do, that's a private thing they're
Yeah,
running.
that's gonna be a
It's
private
separate.
thing, and
Okay.
you're welcome to come to the finance meeting. It will be at the library on that, and I'll let you know specifically when that is.
Okay.
One comment, I like Aaron's spreadsheet, and this is really the kind of thing we need to get together. To do the reserve study.
Oh, I
Because
looked at it all day.
You don't
today.
just wanna go figure it out, guys, and have them running around, like we should tell them what's been repaired, what hasn't been repaired, what do we know, what's the age of the building, what's the age. More information we can give them, the better answer and less money we're gonna spend on that reserve study.
We'll have to work on this spreadsheet, because I believe there's buildings in there that no longer exist. Based on what.
Not only that,
Yeah.
there are private buildings. Again, all I did was throw in the map of the historic district
Mhm.
into GPT and let it go nuts. So this is not.
It's
been
nuts.
reviewed at all. Yeah, I mean, there was, I'm sure, a ton of mistakes in here. And yeah, we don't,
It's a great
You know,
start. It really
but
is.
yeah, that starting point.
But I do believe that there should be maybe a team that works on this, I think, is what's
A
really.
committee there, so you.
Isn't there a historical society that'd be able to help us with that?
I believe so.
I think it would also be a great tool when we go out for grants. If we have all that information together to put a grant out. I've been looking into several different places to go for grants. And once we have all this and we prioritize everything, we could start getting grants and have different projects. If people were really involved in that particular project, like they are in Dickman Hall, we could start raising some donations.
So I'm gonna assume that we're gonna have to talk about this a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, now that we know that we want to make an extensive one regardless of cost, even if it's showing whatever it needs to show, and then we prioritize from there. But it's gonna take a group of people, I think, to work on this.
Right, where it becomes a budget is we allocate what we're putting towards these expenses, not that, oh, you know, it's not going to be a rosy picture because we have a lot of historic buildings, and historic buildings are not rosy pictures. They are a ton. They're money pits.
Yes.
They are. So we got to figure it out. But that's also why, I mean, we have to put the list together. So
Well,
We get
start. Dennis.
So two other things that, can we go back to the spreadsheet? Is this thing on? Okay, sorry. So can we go back to the other list? The original sheet? Yeah, so what y'all touched on this a little bit and Aaron mentioned it a couple of times, but so because these are operated as commercial buildings, if you, like, let's say that you don't have a budget, and this was part of the thought process of putting the resolution together to require this, is that if you're not doing planned maintenance, it is taxable. So by putting this plan together, and then you have someone come out and perform a job and on a commercial building, that a portion of that becomes non-taxable. So having this plan, just having the plan and adopted in the meeting minutes is going to elicit a savings already. So that's step one. So the other thing is that when the roads were deeded to MUD, there is a tax savings. So I know you're looking for how are we going to fund these projects and all that. You may consider looking at the road value, which whenever they were last assessed was about $4 million. So the association saves a significant amount of money by not holding those assets. So whatever that taxable value is that the association would then pay if they did have that on their balance sheet should then be allocated to the restricted fund, because that's money that is not, you wouldn't have that money to spend operationally to begin with. And so that savings, should most likely be put towards one, the contract that the board holds to repair the roads, but also just in general, that is a restricted fund, income, because you're saving that money. So, and that's just as simple as going to the tax rolls and looking at the value and then what the taxes would be on those roads. And that money should then be an income line item for this, if that's the way that the board puts it together. But thank you all for doing this.
So you're saying, which, I need to clarify that, what you said.
I think it's phone.
And your phone ringing.
Answer your phone.
It's a date.
I have it on do not disturb, so
But
it doesn't matter.
So you're saying, but we don't own the roads, so we don't have any tax. What are you saying? Are y'all gonna be giving the roads to,
I can't speak for what Bud is going to do with the roads, but the way that the contract reads is that once the bond is paid off, then the association and the utility district have to come to an understanding as to how to move forward with those roads. That's 2030, I believe. But what I'm saying is right now, if the utility did not possess the roads, you would have a tax liability to the tune of the tax liability for a $4 million asset that you do not currently have. So that money that you're not spending needs to be spent on infrastructure, if that's the roads or if that's, other capital, but that money should not be used operationally simply because that tax savings was put in place on an asset. So that's an asset savings, and that should be put into the restricted fund.
thanks for clarifying.
And that that number is pretty significant. The mud portion alone, that mud does not receive by not having those roads on the county tax roll is $15,000 a year. So that doesn't include the school, that doesn't include the county, that doesn't include the conservation district. All that money is being saved by the association not having to spend that because the roads actually sit on the mud balance sheet.
The mud's a small percentage of the thing, so those others
It's a
are way
very,
fat
very
compared to
small.
that.
So yeah, I mean, we
So
can do
we're
the
talking
math.
120 or something.
Yeah, it's like 120. So like at 10 million, I think. So I think the total savings right now at the assessed value of 4 million, which they haven't been assessed in over a decade, is about $75,000. So that's the total tax bill that we would have on the roads. So $75,000 added to this budget is pretty significant.
Yeah.
So like if the roads had been assessed, just looking at the trends of where property tax values have gone in Kinney County, those roads are valued probably about $10 million. So 2.5 times 75 would be the tax
180
burden.
grand or something.
Yeah, another 100 grand. About $175,000 of tax burden if the road sat on the balance sheet of the association.
So how do they sit on our balance sheet when the roads belong to the?
They do not currently, they do not sit on the balance sheet of the association. They currently sit on the balance sheet of the utility district. If they sat on the balance sheet of the association, your tax burden would be approximately $180,000.
Okay, so you're saying that we could possibly put those on our balance sheet? How would that happen?
We would
Are you
not
asking me
wanna
as a director of
We don't
MUD,
wanna
or are you
do
asking me
that.
as a member of the association?
As a
That's what
member
we
of the
wanted.
As a
association?
member of the association, I would do everything I could possibly do to continue the deal that you have today.
Okay. That's what I thought, because we're gonna be taxed on those, I mean, even though it's a tax savings, it's not actual money that we're getting back.
It's money that you're not spending.
Yeah,
Right. So what I'm saying is that we should look at that money and use it wisely, because we're not spending it. And then I would do everything that you could possibly do to make a deal to continue the situation that you have today. And Aaron mentioned one of the possibilities, which would be to look at an additional bond to continue, I was not here when that bond was put together, but it was, it did not reach as far as everyone thought it was going to reach. So that needs to be looked at again. And that is the conversation that the district needs to start looking at. And now let me put my mud hat on, that we are looking at, because in 2030, that bond will be paid off. So I don't think that there's any situation that anyone would want to just put $180,000 burden on the association. That doesn't make sense for anyone. And remember, every mud director is a member of the board.
Mhm.
and so we could look at talking to Ned or doing something with another bond before this gets paid off.
That's a whole separate conversation, but it would be great if the two general managers would start, having those conversations.
Okay.
We having comments now? Are we having comments now?
Travis, when you say we can put the income in that spreadsheet, it's not actually the income. What you're talking about is cost avoided. Because there's not that money
There's not.
sitting out there somewhere in a pot
No.
that you could then just transfer into that budget.
Correct.
What we're talking about is cost avoided.
Cost avoidance,
Okay.
and so the income that you have, that we collect, that we all pay, that $75,000, which is the known tax burden today. I mean, that money that's coming in from our assessment should not be put in the operational budget, but moved to the restricted fund so that it goes towards the road contract. There's not a magical $75,000.
It's not out there floating
No.
around.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's coming in.
our budget would be zero if we took some of that money out.
But that is the key point. And that is the conversation when we look at assessments, is to say, wait a second, we have this savings that is kind of, I don't know who thought it up, but we have one of the most beautiful municipal finance setups that you could possibly think of. You have 501c3 access, you have private money access, and you have utility access. That is beautiful. If anyone wants to call finance.
Okay, before we go on further, are we, as directors, we're done? Aaron, is there anything else you want to say in the discussion? Before I open it up?
No, I mean, when it comes to the capital budget repair, I think we've covered that. This needs to get some serious development, and like it, I just want to say it's not that hard. It just takes like regular work. Again, 10 minutes. I got a spreadsheet. If I spent 30 minutes a day on this, I could, I could say, go t- send an employee out and tell me how many AC units building A, B, C, D, E, whatever have, and then we have a count of AC units, and then like someone like it takes time, but just a sustained effort will get it done. It's not, and some of the stuff is found online. Even it's not that hard. So I don't. I'm not for like waiting for some team to come do this stuff because it's doable. It just takes regular work to do it, like sustained effort. That's it.
Sharon?
I was just gonna say, I think, since we're discussing this and everything, we ought to go ahead and discuss a time limit on when the board expects to have another update on this and what they expect to have on the update. So we need to have that a time set to have the next meeting and what we expect to have done on this by then.
It's, the restricted budget is gonna be part of this month, next meeting, and we can talk about that as well.
Yeah, but I would like to set a date. We need to have so many buildings, evaluated and that chart filled in with 20 buildings, or 30 buildings, or whatever. That's what we're gonna expect at the next.
Let's spend this week of like figuring that
Yeah.
out and then come back at the regular board meeting and discuss
Yeah.
what
Right.
kind of time limits we'll be thinking.
But we need to set some time limits because we were supposed to have a budget in March. We said we needed the budget by August and we didn't get the budget until the new fiscal year. And as far as I know, it's still not in the QuickBooks. So I'd like to see us start setting some time limits and getting some things accomplished.
Okay, well, we can have further discussion in the regular meeting. Anything else? Ladies and gentlemen, do you all have any additional information to add to our group? Mr. Holder?
From my perspective, there's two takeaways slash action items that we have here. The first one is the need to have a definition for what's going to constitute a capital item. You can't even begin to put them in there. That's how R&M wound up in a capital expenditure because we don't have a definition of what's going to be a capital expenditure. Obviously, a bulldozer is going to be a capital expenditure. Okay, repair and maintenance on the existing one until we get there is an R&M. The other idea is you don't want to try to capitalize your expected capital expenditures in what your current income is. What you want to do is clearly define what you need for capital to maintain the buildings. And then as we go along in this fiscal year, then we choose those items that are most necessary or most benefit.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, let's say, come on.
Okay, we're working on the capital budget. You will know more. Are all the bids in on the hotel for repair? I mean, that's the main item.
No.
No, okay. So you won't know what our special assessment is until you decide on that.
Correct.
So you really can't set a capital budget without knowing what the special assessment is going to be. Am I correct on that point?
No, we can build I mean, it's gonna take time to build the capital budget. We need to have it anyway. And yeah, the motel will show up on there. I mean, you could put an estimated placeholder for that cost, just like we do in the operational budget. when we anticipate these certain types of expenses. And then you have budget versus actual, then the numbers come in and the actual number is this, and we're, plus or minus from that number. But it doesn't prevent us from moving forward with trying to build a capital budget, just like we can't predict, the motel rental rate in December, it'll still happen.
Okay. All right. One more thing. As far as capital budget is concerned and the other budget is concerned, how much effort is going in to collection?
Well, we are getting ready to put 16 liens on homes on Monday. And
Thank
we
God.
collected $10,000 this week in
Thank you.
collections.
Thank you.
And then we'll have 16 more liens to put on, won't we, Anna? Next week as well.
Okay.
They
So
can-
we're working our little tushies off.
Thank you.
That might be more leads in the last 2 decades.
I mean, I literally, they are on my desk.
No,
You know that. That's not true. Because memo and voted with, along with other boards, to put over 40 properties, liens on property.
are they on there?
Go look in the meeting minutes. There were 40 properties.
No, but I mean, I have the lien, I haven't looked, but were the liens applied to those properties?
Yes, they were.
All right, we're getting off subject.
I don't know. I'm just saying that's what we got so far. We'll have 32 by next week.
Mr. Aaron, anything else?
Not for this.
Okay.
No.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 4:55. We will adjourn the capital budget meeting at this time. And we will go into executive session at 4:56. Thank you.